Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been a great May. Absolutely awesome. I want to thank those that fished with me, and I'll definitely be seeing you guys again soon. So, as far as what I've been doing, you can follow me at Good Karma Sport Fishing _FL Keys on my Instagram, or you can visit my YouTube channel where we're posting on a regular basis there as well in real time, and some fish reports and some stories and all that good stuff. All right, guys, here we go. I want to talk to you about planning your fishing trip down here. Okay, I got 4 tips to share with you guys. So I would highly suggest you grab a pen and a paper so you can take some notes. Now, I just had a call with a client and we went over some planning, so I just want to go over 4 tips, okay? And within the call, I went through in depth with my client about where to be, when, and all that good stuff. So I felt I wanted to share with you guys 4 tips for planning, okay? So number 1 is where to go based on experience, okay? Your experience. Where have you historically had luck based on this time of year or in the past? So go back through your logbook, and if you haven't created a logbook, you need to, okay? And mugging spots isn't going to get you anywhere. So you're actually going to fail. So eventually you're going to fail big time if that's your plan. So I highly suggest that you have a plan in place about where you're going to be. Okay? And I've got some stuff available for guys that are looking to find their own spots and good stuff. And I use it all the time because I'm constantly being mugged. And so I'm not catching those fish on any sort of regular spots. I'm just onward and moving. I follow what I do, and that's how I stay on top of the game. And so I want you guys to be successful. So one of the key things that I use as far as a tool goes is I use SATFISH in planning. And especially when I'm going dolphin fishing, I'm looking for the hard edge. And Friday, for example, I pulled up the GPS coordinates to the hard edge out there, and I put the coordinates in, and I went out. I left the dock at 10. It was a flat ride out there really quick. Was on the fish in a matter of an hour and a half, and I had like five dolphin in the boat. All legals, lifters, and then I just kind of picked the rest of the day and caught a nice batch for myself. And I was fishing alone. So I didn't have many ballyhoo rigged, or I just went out and caught fish and had a great time. So based on my experience and using the tools. So that's something to consider. I would highly recommend that you get the SATFISH. That way you can start planning, and you can start doing that well ahead of time. You can start studying the currents. You can start studying the water movements, and you can use Good Karma to get your $20 off. You go to the SATFISH site and then enter checkout, and you'll have a free trial too, which is kind of cool. Then you just enter my code Good Karma and get $20 off, and it's all good. Okay. Number 2. Plan out the baits and scenarios. You got to have all your bait done ahead of time. You got to figure out what's going on with your bait. If you're planning on coming down here and catching bait, it's a different year with bait. You're going to hit them one day, and the next day they're going to be gone. So a lot of the bait spots have been fished out. So you have to really have a lot of your bait planned before you head down here. You got to have good bait suppliers. You got to know who to call. You have to have good connections nowadays to have fresh bait. And also, too, what I'm seeing is the old goggle eye isn't producing like it used to produce because it's just been used at several different spots by several different guys, and the fish start seeing it more often. So, so even I've run into that a little bit. So I've adjusted, and I'm using new baits. So your timing is very important as well. You got to be studying the tides. Just because you're not getting a bite in the morning doesn't mean you're not going to get a bite at noon. Noon could be your best time. It's just really about the timing. Solar lunars, you got to study all that stuff, and to put together a consistent catch. Or make the most out of when they're going to bite. Also, too, I talk a lot about scenarios. That means like an athlete. So I'm going to always go back to athletes. They have like a scenario laid out. Like, okay, what's going to happen today if they put in this different player at this different time, or if it rains, or how there's all these different variables that come into there. So how are you going to adjust based on if you pull up to your first spot and there's no current? You have everything laid out to go reef fishing and there's no tide. What are you going to do? What's your plan B? Where are you going to make your move? Do you have a rod to do this? Do you have a rod to do that? If you're only down here for a short amount of time, you have to make the most out of your day. So that means you have to bring a few more rods. Okay? So those are the scenarios. That are you going to be ready to go dolphin fishing? So where am I going to go? Where are they at? So there's lots of those scenarios that you need to like have ready in the back of your brain, and you need to have them written out. So keep that in mind. Step 3, fishing tactics to try. You always want to have like something new to try, okay? Because your time on the water is limited. So in order to get better, you need to have at least one thing new to try. One thing that's a little different that the fish don't see all the time, okay? Whether that be a bait, a lure, whether that be something, something that you built on your own. So I'm always challenging people to get better at that. So that's very important. Do you have anything that I've talked about that you want to try? Have you seen somebody else give you some advice that, hey, maybe if I try this, it'll work? If the guys that are consistently doing the same thing all the time, the fishery's changing. The fish are it's just a different year. So and I've been saying that for a long time that it's changing. Well, it is changing. There's a lot more sharks now than ever, and in certain areas we have a lot more eels, and they're destroying baits on the bottom. So you have a lot more dead coral, a lot more dead bottom in certain areas. So you got to look for those zones. So you have to try new things, okay? And number 4. Timing of all the factors based on how long you wish to fish for, okay? It's very important. So either that means you have to pick out the best windows of opportunity for fishing if you have and only can be out there if you're budgeted only for a few hours, or if you're budgeted for a full day, okay? You have to account for all those things. So, and like I said, it all comes back to tide. It all comes back to current. It all comes back to moon. It all comes back to did you hear a report about the wahoo biting in the afternoon? Did you hear a report of where the dolphin might be at? Everybody talks about that the dolphin come up late in the day. Well, that's happened historically in the past. Is it going to be this way this year? It's hard to say. You never know. And it's not easy, and if somebody tells me they have something dialed in, I chuckle a little bit, because any good fishing guide, all the best, will never say that. They're always constantly working at getting better. Now, there's going to be times when I have a pattern dialed in and I'll do very well. I wouldn't even consider that to be dialed in. I would just consider that to be just like, hey, I'm just working my plan. And that plan changes when the fish change, and you have to figure out the patterns, and there's just so much that goes into it that it's always changing, okay? So as a guide, I am never dialed in to just one fish. I'm always working at getting better and adjusting to the fishery. And the guys that understand it, they get it. Okay, those are the guys that get it. Okay, so guys, all these things are gold in pre-planning your trip, and there's a lot of ground is covered with this stuff. Okay, my courses cover all the aspects within the lessons, and then I have that personalized Q&A in there. It's completely personal. I want to I love the questions, and that's what getting better is all about, asking questions. So this alone will get you going in the right direction to save you on time, money, and frustration on the water. So just go back and relook at those 4 tips, okay? And think about them. Think about them. Take down some notes. And instead of going through and watching some bad YouTube channels and visually getting stuck, scrolling on through that crap. Sit down and think about yourself. Okay, I encourage you guys to start developing yourself as individuals, as individual anglers, and getting better. Okay? And there's no better time to start than today, because summer starts Tuesday, in my opinion. Tuesday. You know, take the weekend, chill out, you know, grill, hang out with your family, and then come Monday night, when you get back home, start taking some notes for the summer, start developing, and start challenging yourselves to be better this summer and catch more consistently. And if you're further interested in learning what I think of in the morning before I go out, I've created the Conquer the Day Mental Mastery Blueprint. That's free. And the link will be in the show notes. So that's all I got for this podcast. Check out the new Rigging Crew 2.0. Just relaunched. Just a great place for you guys to start. Okay? It's a rebooted community for the guys who wish to get better at rigging, learning to make your own lures, knots, share notes. There's just a lot that's like going to be in it, and I'm super excited to relaunch it because I just missed it a lot, and I really did. So super grateful for the guys that jumped back in, and that's all I got. I've got to start planning my week. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.